Hello YouTube, this is ChardarYuGiOh here to talk about our Time Thief Zoodiac. What did we learn about this deck while we were playing it? First off, the deck felt very okay. Like, it had some powerful plays, it could make very strong boards, but it felt like it was missing a few things, and there's some card choices in this deck list that ended up either not making a lot of sense or just very underwhelming for what the deck was trying to do. So first off, we have all of our extenders. We have a very small danger package. We're playing a hat trigger. We're playing a singing Lanius. And we're playing 3 Time Thief Winders. So as far as extenders, we can also probably count our Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine as an extender. So that's not many extenders, and the issue where we ran into was we'd come up with situations where we could make either a Zoodiac play or a Time Thief play. So one of the first things that I think this deck needs is probably add a Danger Nessie in here. That gives us a danger that is guaranteed to summon a monster, and maybe an instant fusion to play something like a Carbonala Warrior, or maybe just the Millenniumizer Strict, or some other effect that just puts another monster on the board. The normal Zoo combo, which you probably saw us do a lot, ends with a Trident, a Hammer Kong that's been summoned back by Chakanine, and a monster under it. The Hammer Kong keeps our monsters from being targeted, but that's not that powerful of an effect this format, and there's not many things that care about targeting that can't just destroy the zoo cards in another way. So if we had just one other extender, and it really could be any monster, we can end on Trident plus the Time Thief Redoer, then use the Hammer Kong. There's also cases for having to use a Tiger Mortar to put a material under the Hammer Kong to summon another monster, link that off into our Psyframe Gear Lambda, and that way we can end on Redoer plus Lambda and Gamma and plus the Trident. So that I feel like was the biggest flaw with this deck. The other issue I ran into was there's just cards in this deck that don't do very much. So we have the Bezel Ship, we have the Time Thief Hack, and we have Card Destruction. Now all of these cards are okay in very certain contexts. Time Thief Hack protects our Zoodiacs from Ghost Ogre, Effect Veiler, and Infinite Impermanence. And that effect is relevant, but just playing something like Called By is probably better if we even decide that we want that effect. I feel like these are all cards that can be cut down and we can just play other extenders or fit in some back row. Card Destruction, we don't really care about loading our graveyard. We don't want to trigger our Zoodiac, our danger effects. Our Zoodiacs don't want those in the graveyard. This card just does very little for this deck. It turns on Pot of Avarice, but if the best thing you're doing is -1ing yourself to put your hand back in the deck, draw 2 new cards, there's probably more efficient ways we can accomplish goals like that. The last question I had was with this Zoodiac lineup. The Zoodiac lineup feels very heavy, especially playing the 2 Rams. And this lineup is very familiar from the 2017 Zoodiac, but a play pattern that kept coming up during our matches on stream was that we would summon our 1 Zoodiac and make our play, and then just end the game with 2 other Zoodiac cards or 3 other Zoodiac cards, or just cards in our hands that didn't do anything. Now, we almost always want to open at least 1 Zoodiac card. Thorblade is our best one because we can pitch the dead one to get a new card. But we still found our Zoodiac cards clogging our hand quite a bit. So I feel like this can be trimmed down. We can get rid of some of our weaker cards and play either more extenders or real back row. Either of those I think would be more powerful. Finally, about the extra deck, we really found ourselves missing Nightmare Unicorn. That removal ended up being very important, and not having it stung a lot. This Borrelsword Dragon never came up. The fact that we can maybe make it, but we really don't spam the board that efficiently. And even if we do, we need to have a monster that's powerful enough to switch to defense with the Borrelsword. So I don't know if this card is necessary in this deck. Dweller I really like. We ended up not making it in any of our matches, but it was still very nice to have. Finally, if we do make the changes with the extra extenders to go for the land to play, we might be able to cut down a Tiger Mortar because we no longer need to put a material under what Chalk summons back. And finally, I feel like the Utopia package can maybe be moved over to the side deck. We only want this card when we're going second and can go for an OTK. And that lets us get double or nothing out of the extra deck, out of the main deck, which frees up a lot of extra space for us. So that's just my thoughts on the deck. Lastly, this Twin Twister just felt random. I'm not saying it's bad, but a 1-of Twin Twister in the main doesn't make a lot of sense. So I feel like there's a lot of potential with this deck. We might end up playing it again, see if we can refine it a little bit. But let me know what you think of this deck, and thank you for watching.